another founder in car, and today it will be a dog video. What is my opinion on recreations? So for example, there was a breed that is now extinct and is recreated at this moment. In its essence, I don't think it's a great idea. It's nice for sentimental value, but if a breed has been extinct, oftentimes they recreate it with other breeds, and especially on looks, because most of the dogs are now being used on looks alone. And a certain look, historic era, some history that they want to capitulate on. But there are some exceptions, and the exceptions are those that are recreated for a purpose. So looks or purpose. And purpose I'm a champion for, because a dog that is purposeful oftentimes has good health, good drive, and good usability for the intended use, at least, and oftentimes far beyond, because you have athletic capacity and you have drive, and oftentimes then they try to recreate a dog like that. I will give you examples. One for the functional part. So there was once a dog de Bordeaux, and now it has been transformed into a big, heavy, colossal type mastiff. But in the past, it was a dog that was capable of defending the house, which a mastiff can do as well, but also hunting down strong quarry, so especially hawks, swines, the likes. So something that is capable, strong, and that also needs to have determination and drive, athleticism, good anaerobic capacity. So aerobic is for the lungs and the heart, but also anaerobic when they go and get stuff and there's a little bit more acid formation, that the dog keeps going and does not let go. It can also be the case if you have intruders to fight off. So that being said, the current dog de Bordeaux, or Bordeaux dog, cannot fulfill those tasks anymore. And what they did to recreate, they used a hunting dog, a Vizsla, which has the same coloration, so still that form is also of big importance, because you can imagine in the heydays when there was a dog de Bordeaux of a different color but was very functional, you bet that dog would be used. Okay. So Vizsla, and they also use American Pit Bull Terrier. American Pit Bull Terrier of Mayday lines. And then they also select only those pups that result from those crossbreedings and have the coloration of the dog de Bordeaux. So how does that formula look like? Half dog de Bordeaux, a quarter American Pit Bull Terrier, and another quarter Vizsla. So the American Pit Bull Terrier and Vizsla are interbred, and the children thereof, so the pups thereof, are bred back into a full-blooded dog de Bordeaux, and that creates the Chileno Dogo, or Dogo de Chileno, which is a capable dog. It can be used for hawk hunting, can be used for protection work, so very capable. The thing is, as I mentioned, there are still some selection for color, but that is something to be aware of. If you're breeding heavy on the dog de Bordeaux side, which is 50%, and also Vizsla, which is 25%, of course the coloration will be much to that color print. So already you have 75% that's contributing to that color, and also Mayday are a little bit more yellowish and can also be found, especially to selection, in more reddish coloration. So that's that. The only thing that I don't like that much, of course you get a lot of fighting ability for the which is not a real guard dog, and the Vizsla is also not a real guard dog. So all the guard dog properties will be coming from the Bordeaux dog, which is of course capable enough. And if you use those that are still being worked, you will have a better dog than a regular Bordeaux dog, even for the guarding capacities, because you will add athleticism from both sides, Vizsla and American Pit Bull Terrier. And you will also add a lot of fighting drive from American Pit Bull Terrier. And the Dr. Bordeaux that you use were of good guarding instinct stock to begin with. So compared to the current day Dr. Bordeaux, you have good guarding capacities. Compared to the original one that you say that you're recreating, but they have named it different. So is it a real recreation? That's also something that you have to take into consideration here. But the goal was that, yes? And if you take it into consideration, you still have a capable dog, but not as good as the original one, in the guarding aspect at least. Fighting could be different, because American Pit Bull Terrier has a lot of further developed fighting capacities. But there's something else that they could have done. They could have bred in, for example, instead of Vizsla, which does not have the guarding capacities, they could have used an African breed. We know a dog called the Rhodesian Ridgeback, which also has the coloration that they are looking for, so dark reddish, but could have a face mask. Could be the problem that they don't like it much, but also there are Rhodesian Ridgeback with very little to no face mask, so it could be done. And then you have a dog that's capable of hunting big quarry in itself, so especially they have developed it as a dog to corner at least lions, so it has courage, but it's also not that fighting drive to the maximum, because otherwise it will be ripped to parts by a lion. But could also be used outside that scope, for example, hawk. It's not that much of a catch dog, but it could have a role there. Also in the pedigree of the Rhodesian Ridgeback, there are some fighting dogs, so some Mastiffs are in there, which is a little bit more to the Molosser side, which also contributes to the guarding capacities, which we have not touched upon yet. And also some Bull and Terrier breeds, so like the ancestors of the American Pit Bull Terrier were used in that combinations. Then to the guarding capacities, a Rhodesian Ridgeback has a lot more guarding capacities as does the Vizsla, and even more so than many of Bordeaux dogs. So you will have that 75% guarding capacities, and you can still get more fighting skills from the American Pit Bull Terrier. You will also have a more solid dog if you would go that route. So it depends a little bit on what you want. The Vizsla has a lot weaker head than the Rhodesian Ridgeback has. So that's something you could take into consideration. Would be a better bet in my opinion. Another dog, an example more of a dog that's bred to have a certain type of look, could be the Boston Bulldog. So we all know a dog named the Boston Terrier in the past that was a form of American Pit Bull Terrier, so you would like a little bit more rounded head, a little bit smaller type. But nowadays it is a flat-nosed caricature of a working dog. So it has lost all the working dog capacities, because the anaerobic capacities and also the hold capacity, because those jaws are like dysfunctional to say the least, are being lost. It still has a nice athletic frame, but also the back is too short, it's a little bit too much squared, like you also see in the Fox Terrier, and to a degree in the German hunting terrier, which is one of the biggest drawbacks of that breed, and it has been so much founded on the fox terriers, which already had a shorter back. And now the old Boston Bulldog, they tried to recreate it. So they bred in other bulldogs to make it a little bit bigger. For example, old English bulldogs. Also, American Pimple Terrier has been bred in. American Pimple Terrier is almost always the go-to to recreate and to put again the drive into place and the capacities, and also still have a very nice, good-looking dog that also is quite a good instrument to use around children or as a family dog. The old Boston Bulldog is not so much a guarding dog breed. But that being said, old English Bulldog is also already a recreation, so they use different breeds to make it a little bit better. For example, Staffordshire Bull Terrier. But Staffordshire Bull Terrier would be a better recreation to begin with of the original Bulldog, because that dog will still look a lot more. And they try to keep at least that shortened, rounded head in the old English Bulldog, which came from the Pug, but also the old Boston Bulldog, which also came from the Pug. Pug is a show dog, not capable at all, so it's a bad thing to do it like that, and they do. So in that form they are looking for a romantic picture to have a recreation. Also those dogs, especially because they infuse old English Bulldog and other bigger breeds, are becoming a lot more heavier than the original Boston Terriers were. So they are not that small dogs anymore. And why wouldn't you just go for an American Pimple Terrier, which is the functional equivalent of the dog that you're looking for? You also have small American Pimple Terriers to begin with. And if you want to keep the size a lot smaller than American Pimple Terrier, you could go, for example, for Petadills or Border Terriers, or even infuse them into your breeds to at least stay to the smaller region. But they did not. So, yeah, what to think of it? In my opinion, it's just a romantic view instead of a performance type setting. I'm not saying that there will not be individuals of those old Boston Bulldog that are very capable, because there will. You can always be lucky, but in general you will not touch upon general levels of, for example, American Pimple Terrier. And even if you look at the individual level, if you look at the top level contender of American Pimple Terrier, for example, Wakepool, it will outpull that old Boston Bulldog top contender. So that's that. We talked about recreations, what my view are upon them. We talked about functional recreation. We talked about especially the romantic recreations of a dog that still has certain looks, but is a little bit more healthy. I do like that the recreation oftentimes, because they are going back in time, are less exaggerated and thereby more healthy and more capable. But I like the functional recreations a lot more than those ones. Hope you enjoyed this video and can have your own thoughts, and please put them in the comments, and we see you next time. Found my car out.